I could talk to you guys all day. How's the level? The audio level's fine. So I did prepare my remarks because I would put everyone to sleep. But before I start, one of my favorite U.S. senators, current senators, is John Kennedy from Louisiana. Did any of you see him reading banned books at one of the? I think it was a riot. It was a riot. Another thing I wanted to say, Gary, you're my favorite MSU, but the more I'm hearing Jimmy talk, I don't know. I don't know.
We're a team.
And then I just wanted to say one thing that Mel said about the multi-generational. I have said for a long time, we need to really get back to the days of Little House on the Prairie, but we need to get back to the multi-generational that was portrayed on the Waltons. So, thanks for saying that. I read a story the other day of a country preacher who had a teenage son, and it was getting time for the son to give some thought to choosing a profession. However, like many young men his age, the teenager really didn't seem to know what he wanted to do and didn't seem to be too concerned about it. One day, the young man was away at school, and his father decided to try an experiment. He went to his son's room and placed on his study table 4 objects: a Bible, a silver dollar, a bottle of whiskey, and a Playboy magazine. I'll just hide behind the door, the old preacher said to himself. When he comes home from school, I'll see which object he picks up. If it's a Bible, he's going to be a preacher like me. And what a blessing that would be. If he picks up the dollar, he's going to be a businessman. And that would be okay too. But if he picks up the bottle, he's going to be a no-good drunken bum. And Lord, what a shame that would be. And worst of all, if he picks up that magazine, he's just going to be a skirt-chasing womanizer. So the old preacher waited anxiously, and soon he heard his son's footsteps as he entered the house, whistling and heading for his room. The boy tossed his books on the bed, and as he turned to leave the room, he spotted the objects on the table. With curiosity in his eye, he walked over and inspected them. Finally, he picked up the Bible and placed it under his arm. He picked up the silver dollar, dropped it in his pocket. He uncorked the bottle, took a big drink, while he admired the magazine centerfold. Lord have mercy, the old preacher disgustedly whispered. He's going to run for Congress. Being the oldest son of a pastor myself, and side note, I do appreciate the devout Catholics, but I'm a Protestant, so I'm very comfortable being the rebel rouser.
Right.
And being a dad of a 16-year-old son, I got a chuckle from that story. Thank you for the opportunity to join you all today to discuss and answer the question, are we winning? Particularly, are we winning in the area of journalism and media? And how can people get involved in taking back Maine? But first, what is the role, purpose of journalism? Is it to break the next headline? Is it about getting as many readers, viewers to a particular perspective or a political view? Is it to increase the number of followers on X, formerly known as Twitter? Is journalism about becoming the next Bob Woodward or Walter Cronkite? No. Journalism is the business of serving its readers as a primary source of truth and reliable information of current events. We've heard true and truth spoken many times already today. Journalists act as watchdogs, keeping an eye on government, institutions, and powerful individuals. investigative journalism plays a crucial role in exposing corruption, abuse of power, and other issues that may be hidden from the public. Journalists should ask tough questions, investigate wrongdoing, and highlight issues that require public attention. By holding public officials and institutions accountable, journalists contribute to the maintenance of a healthy republic. Why does this even matter? What happens when government and media partner up to censor facts or even free speech? This past September, Dr. Jordan Peterson, while addressing the audience at the Buckley Institute's 7th disinvitation dinner, which you need to be a candidate for, by the way, reminded us why true information is important to a free society. Free speech is not a right among other rights, Peterson told the audience that night, but rather it's a predicate of all rights. It's also the predicate to a functioning psyche, the predicate of a society that can maintain its integrity. Peterson further argued, the purpose of thinking is to let your stupid thoughts die instead of you. Stupid ideas can only be challenged and killed at the public square, and good ideas can be championed and carried forth when society knows, as Paul Harvey used to tell us, the rest of the story. This is what the role and purpose of journalism needs to be in Maine, in America. The business of journalism should be to bring objective observation and facts to the reader or viewer. An informed society cannot have an honest debate with ideas without true and accurate information. If all ideas are not allowed to be argued and debated, the stupid ideas will never die, as Dr. Peterson predicts. Only can an informed society make good decisions that impact society as a whole. So, how are we doing here in Maine regarding journalism? Well, let's consider some recent changes in the newspaper landscape. Back in August, it was announced that all Maine's daily newspapers, except for the Bangor Daily News, was being purchased by the nonprofit, the National Trust for Local News. Is that an oxymoron or what? Due to Maine's mainstream newspapers losing subscribers and dwindling advertising revenue. The Portland Press Herald, the Kennebec Journal, the Morning Sentinel, and all these other newspapers have been on life support for many years. People vote with their dollars. Let me talk for a couple of minutes about the Bangor Daily News, the only independently owned daily newspaper in Maine. The BDN peaked in the mid-1980s when it had 150 reporters and editors and 150 other employees. It was in 2017 when the BDN began their Help Us Sustain Local Journalism in Maine campaign. If you were to look at BDN's Sustain the News webpage today, here's what you would read. When you contribute to Sustain Local Reporting at the Bangor Daily News, you help journalists cover news in communities across the state, explain developments in Maine policy and politics, and hold those in power accountable to the people they serve. The work of the BDN strengthens communities across the state through dogged accountability and committed journalism. Every dollar donated, because they can't survive on the free market, goes towards the cost of reporting. Your year-end contribution will support our accountability and community reporting teams, helping us report for you and all Mainers in 2024. Join us in bringing Maine together through fact-based local journalism. I have a hard time keeping a straight face when I say that. But here are some proud accomplishments cited in BDN's August 9, 2021 donation solicitations page. Comprehensive COVID-19 coverage has analyzed the daily numbers, chronicled the vaccine rollout, and shared tips on living through the pandemic. I'm quoting them. We all know it's a pandemic. We continue to probe the impact of COVID-19 on Maine's economy and community life and tell the stories of those we've lost. Next proud accomplishment of the BDN. We've asked you what information you need. You told us, we adjusted our reporting, and then we asked again. Their next accomplishment. Our reporters carefully chronicled what was known and not known about the wedding reception on Millinocket Lake that contributed to several COVID-19 outbreaks last August. That was August 2020. The good old days, remember? Next proud accomplishment. We told the story over conflict over restrictions and mandates, which played out in Belfast as the city's resistance corner became a boiling point for disagreement around mask rules and free speech. Next proud accomplishment. Our lawmen off-limit investigation exposed a systematic lack of accountability among Maine sheriffs, led to new reform legislation, and won several awards. Their last proud accomplishment, 2021. Our reporting exposed racism in the Bangor schools and compelled school leaders to do something about it. So I ask you, does this sound like fact-based local journalism to you? Remember when I told you that BDN staff peaked over 300 in the mid-1980s? Well, today, according to its online staff directory, the BDN has a total of 57 employees. And that's if you include the CEO, the COO, and the senior vice president. People vote with their dollars. However, the media landscape is evolving. It was not that long ago when Maine didn't have any conservative media other than VOM. Dave DeShane, on a sidebar here, this is why I prepared remarks, but I got to say this. I am asked as I travel around Maine if I'm the guy from Fort Fairfield. And I say, no, he's better looking than I am, and he's actually smarter than I am. So subscribe to his paper. It wasn't that long ago in Maine when we didn't have any conservative media other than VOM, a few writers like Larry Lockman, John Reisman, Michael Coffin. He probably remembers those names. Today, we have the Fort Fairfield Journal. We have WFFJ-TV. We have the Maine Wire. We have the Maine Source of Truth. We have the Maine Anchor, along with Dave's paper, DPTV, and the National Buzz, offering news, commentary, and positive solutions for Maine's challenges. We have groups like John Linehan's Constitution Hall, Health Choice Maine, Speak Up for Life, The Dinner Table, and most importantly, Maine Stands Up. This past May, Speak Up for Life set a record number of people testifying against Maine's unlimited abortion on demand bill, LD 1619. Over 2,000 people flooded Maine's capital on May 5th and 6th. So many people testified before Maine's Judiciary Committee that the majority party reduced the amount of time to testify twice, from 3 minutes to 2 minutes to eventually 1 minute. Maine Stands Up has grown to over 5,000 members since 2020. I have seen Maine Stands Up at many public hearings, packing halls and committee rooms to standing room only. In September, Maine Stands Up hosted its, and I'm not sure now after listening to him, I thought it was the second annual Common Sense Fair, to an incredible turnout. How many of you here today were at the Maine Stands Up December 4th, 2021 meeting at the Community Barn in Dredson? I almost brought a TV in the video, but remember how many, remember when over 300 of you came together in one spirit to sing, Raise a Hallelujah? Then there's Dave's Paper, DPTV, and the National Buzz. These platforms, along with the others, are more than just news and entertainment sources. They are a harbinger of an era where choice, diversity, and truth in media are no longer accepted or celebrated. It is the robustness of these conservative media outlets and platforms that ensure that our voices are heard, our stories are told, and our values of freedom and limited government are represented and advocated in Maine's public square. I would argue that without journalism with integrity, there is no such thing as free speech that is true, effective, and persuasive. Quote, societies that forfeit the right and responsibility of free speech doom themselves to stagnation. Dr. Peterson warns, and I take this warning to heart. With Dave's Paper, DPTV, and the National Buzz, my team are committed to, one, providing news with integrity to Maine people, keeping an eye on government, institutions, and powerful individuals who want to permanently change our way of life and not for the better. Number three, committed to asking the tough questions and highlighting issues that require public attention. Number four, provide a voice for those the mainstream media ignore or censor. And lastly, provide information that will contribute to the exchange of ideas being argued and sorted in the public square. So as in the words of Dr. Peterson, the bad ideas will die instead of people. It is these principles that guide our mission and govern how we discard error and embrace truth, which is the cornerstone of our approach to journalism and storytelling. How can people get involved taking back Maine? Well, the obvious answer is join Maine Stands Up or any of these other groups. But in January of 2024, our newest national digital magazine, the National.Buzz, will become a paid subscription website. Dave's Paper is always free, has always been free since day one, and until the day I die, it will be free. But don't worry, the intro price will be for $29.99 for an entire year. The National Buzz is a modern digital take on the old Saturday Evening Post. We curate news articles and stories from various conservative media outlets and writers on an array of subject matter. New content is updated every Wednesday at 6 a.m. And here's the cool thing, I think. Those who subscribe and indicate that they're a member of Maine Stands Up, 5% of the subscription price will be donated to Maine Stands Up. So you're not only supporting real journalism, and trust me, I need to hire more staff. My wife will say that too. But you are also supporting Maine Stands Up. How cool is that? Very cool. Thank you, Maine Stands Up people, for your unwavering support, and may we move forward with the courage to speak and the strength to listen and the wisdom to understand. Are we winning in Maine? Yes, my friends and fellow patriots, we're winning in Maine. Are these yours?